Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I once believed that somewhere in a Texas town, the history of the man with a chainsaw lived. Reality is the story is not from Texas, and it is based on the story of Ed Gein. Ed Gein was from Plainfield, Wisconsin. It is known that he has inspired 3 franchises: Psycho from 1960, Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, and Silence of the Lambs from 1991. This is not a video about Ed Gein, but about one of the movies he inspired, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. And I'll break down the demise of this franchise, as the movies have not been quite the same since the inception of The Man with the Chainsaw. The focus will be on the movies from 2003 to 2022, and how they went from horror movies worth watching to Netflix flops, where the horror has become cringe. I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre in my teens. At the time of watching the movie, I remember being caught off guard. Imagine being on the road trip and encountering a random person on the road by herself. I believe you would hesitate to stop if you were alone. But as a group, I can't believe someone in the group convincing everyone to stop and try to help in some way. Here is where the horror starts. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was set as an epic slasher, but also a movie that played with the dynamics of traveling and cannibalism. What if a fun experience with friends becomes a potential traumatizing experience? What if you're lost in the middle of nowhere and you ask for help just to be set up to become cattle? The 2003 movie is well produced. Shout out to Marcus Nipswell. With the choice of the music to the look of the entire movie, the grittiness of the color grading on the movies set the tone to the classic 70s look. Since the movie takes place in 1973, the reality of not having any form of communication other than word of mouth makes it challenging for anyone to find a way out of a challenging situation. I believe that in present time, movies when released do not get appreciated as when time passes by and are rewatched. If you happen to rewatch the movie today, you soon will notice how good the movie is. It could also be due to the nostalgia, but with this one, I believe it's just that good. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a remake of the original take film released in 1974, was part of a period of time where horror movies were being remade. Examples are 13 Ghosts. The original one came out in 1960, the remake was done in 2001. The Hills of Ice, 1977, the remake was done in 2005. Dawn of the Dead, 1978, the remake was done in 2004. House of Wax, the original came out in 1953, the remake was made in 2005. And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one came in 1974, the remake was done in 2003. Early 2000s was a period in time where I believe that slasher films were at an all-time high due to the success of the franchise Scream.
Hello?
Why don't you want to talk to me?
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
The main reason I believe that this movie was one of the best depictions of what a slasher film should be was due to the character that it was Thomas Brown Hewitt, aka Leatherface. The character by distance looks fearful, a big entity with no recognizable face features due to him wearing a mask that at a glimpse is only a mask. But when focused, you will start to see what the mask is made out of, which is human skin, and how it is stitched to his face. The chainsaw, which is the classic part of this character, works perfect. With a bigger weapon compared to the original, it made Leatherface look stronger, more brutal than any slasher characters at the time. The last 3 films of Leatherface have been considered failures not only because of the amount of money they made in theaters, but because as a whole they can easily be removed from the Texas Chainsaw timeline. They have not been able to replicate the fear that the original and the movies from 2003 and 2006 created. The 2006 Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the prequel to the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. These two movies as a package gave a really good depiction are the purpose of both movies. One of the main reasons I believe these two movies are the best versions of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is due to the continuity that both stories create in relation to each other. The family, and most importantly, Leatherface, was played by the same actor, Andrew Briniarski. I personally hate when franchises decide to cast different actors due to the original actor now wanting to continue to play in the sequels. In addition, the acting of the victims in the newer versions of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre are what destroys the newer movies. The stories become extremely corny, and instead of telling a story, the focus relies on the gore of slaughtering the people involved. Most can agree that most horror movies in today's age rely heavily on common horror tropes. My belief is that the want to make quick money is what has made the TCM franchise obsolete. The franchise solely relies on the fact that the name alone has created a cult following, and therefore there will always be an audience for any new film that is created. The same can be said about the newer Elm Street movies, Halloween movies, and even Chucky movies. What should be filled with horror has been turned into parody due to the unrealistic scenarios that occur within the movies that have came out after the 2003 and 2006 versions of it. I will share with you some of the scenes that are just ridiculous to a point where instead of feeling bad for the characters, you can stop but find it comedic. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you watching the video. I'll see you on the next one.